Merhabalar herkese. Hepiniz IELTS webinarlarına hoş geldiniz. Bugün Kanada'nın en iyi üniversitesi University of Toronto'da lisans programları hakkında öğrenmeniz gereken tüm detayları Adam'dan dinliyor olacağız. Lütfen sorularınızı soru cevap bölümünden yönlendirmeyi unutmayın. Yes, Adam, the stage is yours now.
Great, thank you. Merhaba, hoş geldiniz. Welcome to the University of Toronto presentation. My name is Adam, and I visit Istanbul for many years now, and excited to present to you, and so you can learn a little bit more about our university. And then, of course, there will be time for questions at the end of the presentation. Before we begin, you can see there's a QR code. If you have your phone, you can scan that QR code, and this will allow you to tell us more about the programs you're interested in. And as well, you will receive an email. If you scan that and fill out the form, the email will provide you with my email address. So if you have questions after today and you want to know more about the university, please fill out that QR code. Tell us what you're interested in studying if you know, and then you'll receive an email from me. So if you do have questions later on, we can always communicate further. So, University of Toronto, we are Canada's top research university. Not only are we the top university in Canada, but we consistently rank in the top 25 around the world. So it means you're getting an excellent quality of education that is 100% portable. So you can come back to Turkey, you can potentially stay in Canada, or go anywhere in the world, and that university degree will be recognized. It has that portability. And that's because we have a very strong history at our university of discoveries and innovations. Discoveries like the world's first nerve transplant, stem cell research began at U of T, and insulin was discovered over 100 years ago. We've had Academy Award winners, prime ministers, Olympic athletes, and Nobel Prize winners all come from our university. In fact, about 2 years ago, we had Geoffrey Hinton, who is a professor at the University of Toronto. He is known as the godfather of AI. So he is a very influential professor when it comes to AI, and he taught at our school and is still very involved today. So those are just a few examples of some of the amazing professors and discoveries that have taken place at our university. But one of the most exciting things you can look forward to is the city of Toronto. When you come to study, you'll be living in one of the world's most livable regions. Toronto is known for its safety, for its cleanliness, and its diversity. Over 50% of people that live in the city have been born outside of Canada and speak another language. So it's very common to be in downtown Toronto and hear so many different languages spoken. With that, of course, great restaurants, shopping, sporting events, concerts, whatever you're interested in, the city is going to have something for you. And speaking of sports, this summer we are co-hosting the FIFA World Cup. So this time next month, the World Cup will begin, and the city is very excited as we're getting ready to host the world's biggest soccer tournament. So that's something else. So the city of Toronto is always hosting big events like this. There's a lot of fun things for you to do, to get involved with, and it's easy to get around. We call it the Greater Toronto Area, or the GTA. So fourth largest metro system in North America. So lots of exciting things that you can do, and a lot of fun in a really great city. Now, of course, if you're coming to study with us, you would be joining us in Canada. Lots of times students ask me questions about the weather. It is Canada, so it's going to be colder. But that's part of the experience, right? You get to go to a different country, be immersed in a different culture, and be also immersed in a different climate. But Toronto is about an hour plane ride from New York, Boston, Montreal. So even though it is, as I said, colder, we are more south. It's the northern part of Canada that's really cold. But that's just to, again, highlight some of the differences that you're going to have when you come to join us here. Now, within the Greater Toronto area, the university has 3 campuses. These campuses are all located within 1 hour of each other. So the difference between them is their size and their location. But the quality of the education is the same at all 3. So one campus is not better. You get to choose what campus you want based on what you want to study, but also where you think you'd be more comfortable studying. But when you graduate, it's the same degree. One university, 3 distinct campuses, you get to choose. So Mississauga campus is about a half an hour west of the downtown core. Mississauga is a modern campus with about 15,000 students located on 225 acres of beautiful green park space. So a forest-like setting, very modern, with 15,000 students. If you prefer to be in the city center, that would be St. George campus. Here we have a mix of old buildings from the 1800s as well as modern state-of-the-art facilities. So old and new city center with over 35,000 undergraduate students. Scarborough is about a half an hour east of downtown Toronto. It's a mid-sized campus with 15,000 students, and it's our fastest growing as well. So Scarborough is similar to Mississauga, that they are mid-sized, very modern campuses. Now, in terms of what you can study, these are the different faculties that we offer at U of T. So arts, business, and science is our most common faculty, and those areas of study are available at all 3 campuses. So if you want to study arts, business, or science, or all of those potentially, all 3 campuses are going to offer those. It's just St. George that is unique to faculties like music and engineering, for example. We do guarantee housing for all first-year students. If you apply to the St. George campus, you're going to see that we have 7 different residential colleges. The colleges is your residence where you sleep and eat. So for St. George, Faculty of Arts and Science students, when you apply, you'll be asked to rank 3 out of your top 7 colleges. So these don't have anything to do with what you want to study, but this is where you get to indicate what your preference is for the style of housing you would like to live in. We have traditional dorm style with full meal plans, but we also have contemporary apartment style where there's a kitchen and you cook most of your own meals. So depending on what you prefer, you get to indicate that when you apply. But it has nothing to do with what you want to study. But again, the housing is guaranteed for all first-year students. A large university means we have a lot of support. So whether that's through academic advising, personal or academic-based, we have math labs, writing labs, peer mentors, and all of our professors have student hours. So the professors are available to meet with you if you have questions about any of your assignments or you just want to talk about some of your goals. So lots of support when you're the world's or when you're the Canada's top and largest university. And of course, being large also means you have that much more to look forward to outside of the classroom. So through our extracurriculars, student clubs, organizations, sports, we have over 1,500 student clubs for you to participate in. And by getting involved in the sports, in the clubs, this is how you meet people and you make friends, but you also are building your resume, right? You're building your resume to become that well-rounded student that's so sought after today. So the more you get involved at the university, the better it is. The more fun you'll have, the more people you'll meet, but also the better your resume will be. So make sure you get involved. There's lots of fun things to look forward to. Now, another great benefit of our university is that you can really personalize your degree. And that is because we have over 700 academic program options to choose from. This is the best selection in Canada. And the nice thing about having all of these choices is you can mix and match your areas of study. So if you want to do a double major in arts and science, you can do that. If you want to be an engineer and minor in music, that's possible as well. There are literally hundreds of combinations, and in most cases, you don't have to declare what you want to study until after your first year. So you have time, you're not locked into anything when you apply, and it is quite flexible. So for the arts, we have history, philosophy, drama. Over 50 different languages are instructed here. We have Toronto is the financial capital of Canada, so it's a great place to study business. And we publish more scientific research than any other public university in North America, so also very strong for those who are interested in research and science. We have the largest faculty of engineering, highest ranked as well in Canada, with 8 core programs you can apply to from high school, as well as a variety of different minors and certificates within the engineering faculty that you can pursue as well. So engineering is a professional faculty only available on St. George, as are architecture, visual studies, kinesiology, which is the study of human movement, and music. These faculties are only available on the St. George campus. Now, once you get to us, we want to give you the opportunity to apply what you learn in the classroom to the real world and how that would apply to your career. So we have a lot of experiential learning opportunities. So most notably through internships and co-ops. These allow you to go to school and work at the same time. You're going to earn some money, which is great, help for you to pay for some of your tuition, of course, but more importantly, it's going to give you that work experience so that when you graduate, you already have work experience, which will be very beneficial to you. So lots of co-op and internships across the 3 campuses. You can also do independent research while being supervised by a professor as early as your 2nd year. So this will look great on your resume as well. So you can work, do research, very beneficial. And if you're interested in having an even more international experience, we have 160 partnerships around the world where you could do a U of T course somewhere else. So maybe somewhere closer to home in Europe, or the UK. If you want to take a course there, you could do that, or go somewhere like Australia or somewhere in Asia if you prefer. Lots of different options for you to really diversify in terms of where you study if you're interested as well. So hopefully this sounds good so far. Now let's take a moment to talk about the application process and what you need to get into the university. So, number one, applying to University of Toronto is pretty simple. And the reason it's simple is because it's really only 2 steps that you need to complete. The first step of the application or the process is to apply online in the fall of your senior year or your grade 12 or last year of high school. Now, once you're ready to apply, you're going to see that there's 2 different options to choose from. So if you Google apply U of T, you're going to be able to see the 2 options that you have. So the international application is for those students who are only interested in applying to University of Toronto. So if you think, well, in Canada, I'm just interested in U of T, I should say not just Canada. If you just want us, you can use the international application. But if you're interested in applying to other schools in the province of Ontario, there's over 20 universities in Ontario, you would use the OUAC. So these applications, it doesn't matter to us which one we use. OUAC gives you lots of, or 3 choices with your application fee. So if you want to apply to York University or TMU or Western and U of T, you use the OUAC. But if you think for Ontario, I just want Toronto, then you can use the international application. And that fee is a little bit cheaper. It's cheaper because it only includes U of T choices, where the OUAC includes multiple universities. So either one is fine. You choose which application is best for you. Now, once you're on that application, now you know we have our 3 campuses. So this is where you'll be able to select which programs you're interested in. So you know that we have the 3 campuses and on St. George, 5 faculties to choose from. So it'll look a little bit like this when you're on the application. You're going to be applying to and selecting one of these highlighted areas that you see here. So you're not going to say, I want a double major and minor. You're doing that once you're at the university. For now, you're just going to indicate which of these highlighted areas you're most interested in. So let's just say you want computer science. You can apply to computer science at Scarborough, Mississauga, and St. George. Same program, different campuses. That's okay, and that's encouraged. We encourage you to apply to multiple campuses to increase your chance of admission, but also to potentially increase your chance for scholarships as well. What you can't do is say, I want to study St. George, computer science, and Rotman commerce. That won't work because they are in the same faculty, as you can see. But you could apply to one from arts and science, you could apply to engineering, and you could apply to music. That is okay because those are different faculties. So again, 1 per campus or 1 per faculty in the case of St. George, to a maximum of 3 U of T choices total. So once you've made your choices on the application, now you submit the payment and you've applied to the university. On average, it takes students about 20 minutes to apply to the university. And that's because we do not ask for any transcripts. You don't have to submit transcripts when you apply. We don't require any letters of recommendation. You're not going to be required to submit any essays at that point either. So you're just telling us who you are, where you're from, what you want to study, and you submit the payment. That is the first step of the application. Once you do that, the next step will be to wait for our email. And the email is going to have access to your portal. And the portal is where you're going to see the documents we require. And when we receive those documents, you're going to see the date that we received them. So very easy for you to keep track. So for most programs, all we're going to want is your transcripts from high school. So the first thing you will send us is transcripts 9 through 11th grade. Those will have been completed, so you can upload those. The second thing you'll see is your mid-year results from your grade 12 or senior year. Once those are available, you'll send us that information or those grades. And for most programs, that's all you need to do, as well as your English test, of course. So transcripts and English tests for most programs is all. However, if you were applying to one of these areas are a little bit more competitive and selective, and therefore they want to know more about you, your extracurriculars, your leadership, your passion for the program. And you'll be able to tell us by answering some questionnaires or short essay questions. And in the case of commerce and engineering, there'll also be some video responses that you'll have to provide. So it's not a live interview, but rather you will watch a video of a professor asking you a question, and then you only have 1, maybe 2 minutes to think about what you want to say, and then record yourself answering the question. So only these areas have the additional supplemental application. The rest of the programs are just applying, sending us your transcripts and English test. That is it. In terms of English language requirements, these are some of the most common tests that we accept. So as long as you have the minimum score for these areas, you will have satisfied the English language requirement. So just make sure that you write your test in advance so there's no delays in sending us those. So IELTS, TOEFL, Duolingo, any of those are acceptable. All right, so this is a timeline of your grade 12 or senior year of high school. So in the fall of grade 12, you can begin the application. It typically opens up towards the end of September each fall. So the most important thing to remember here is our early application deadline. That is November 7th. So we want you to begin, not complete, just to start or initiate your application before November 7th. And remember, it typically only takes about 20 minutes, so it's easy to do. So make sure that you apply early, no later than November 7th. The official deadline is in January, but I don't recommend waiting because the more competitive programs will start to fill and there's a disadvantage. So if possible, apply early, especially for the more selective programs like engineering and Rotman Commerce. Once you apply, you wait for our instructions with access to your portal. And once you have access to your portal, you can begin sending us your transcripts, your English test. And if your program has any supplemental application requirements, this is where you access it. So it's on the portal that you'll be able to see where your supplemental is. You click on it, and we're going to provide you the details with the instructions and when you need to submit that by. So that's it. Those are the steps. In terms of when you'll hear back from us, if you apply early, we begin making offers in late January. And we continue to make offers basically every month up until May. But May is late, so that's why we want you to apply early by November 7th. So hopefully you hear in January or February. Some of the programs that have the supplemental, like engineering and business, they take longer to make those decisions, but applying early is recommended and beneficial. Now, in terms of what we're looking for to get into the university, this is difficult because we have so many programs, as you can see. But I'll give you some basic or general grade ranges that you can aim for. So for most programs at the university, having a solid B+, A- range is competitive for admission. So if you're doing Turkish diploma, 85, mid-80s, mid to high 80s is competitive for most programs. However, the more selective programs, the ones that require supplemental, to give you an example, engineering, computer science, Rotman Commerce, those programs we want to see your grades to be in the 90s as kind of a minimum if you're following the Turkish diploma. So the higher, the better, but those programs you definitely need to be in the 90s. If you're an IB student, mid-30s is competitive for most programs. but for the more selective programs, mid to high 30, probably high 30s is where you need to be. So our website will give you ranges that you can look for or to be reminded of. And you probably won't see anything that lists Turkish diploma specifically, but again, it's very similar to US-based curriculum or even Ontario here in terms of the percentages. And I can post the link once we finish the presentation with a little more detail. So that is what we're looking for. And in terms of the prerequisites, again, you'll be able to see this all online. So be sure you have the prerequisites for the program you want. And these prerequisites need to be at the senior level, grade 12. So make sure you do have those when you're looking at which programs to apply to. Scholarships are considered, or you're automatically considered, based on your grades alone. We refer to them as merit-based scholarships. So these have these scholarships, you're considered based on just your grades, not your financial need or your extracurriculars. These are just based on academics, and you're automatically considered. So if you qualify for a scholarship, in most cases, you will be notified with your offer of admission. So once you get your offer, you will see how much of a scholarship you are eligible for. So there's nothing else you need to do, no essays or additional applications you need to submit. We do have one full ride scholarship for international students, and that is the Pearson Scholarship. This is a full ride for international students. And last year we had 3 winners from Turkey that won this scholarship. So hopefully, inshallah, we will have more winners from Turkey in the coming years, but it's very competitive. And so you cannot apply for this as a student. You have to be nominated by your school. And only one student can be nominated each year for the Pearson. So talk to your guidance counselor to see if they think they would like to nominate you for this award. So that is the only one. Again, the full ride scholarship that has an application, but you have to be nominated by your school. If you don't get nominated or you do not receive the Pearson Scholarship, you will still be considered for all of the other merit-based awards. However, these scholarships do not cover the full cost of tuition. They vary in amount. Some of them are renewable, meaning you're going to get a set amount of money each year, and other scholarships are just for first year. But you can explore those on that website you see, Award Explorer, if you want to learn more. But the main message here is that you're automatically considered for all scholarships based on academics, not financial need or extracurriculars. If you are admitted to the university and you are not a Canadian citizen, you'll be required to apply for a study permit. We will provide all of the documents that you need to apply for your study permit. So it's a pretty straightforward process. As soon as you get your offer of admission, you want to accept it, pay your deposit, and once you do that, we send you the letter, Provincial Attestation Letter, or PAL. Once you have your PAL, now you can apply for your study permit. And we have an office dedicated to international students, our Center for International Experience, CIE office, is going to be, we have immigration advisors available to assist you if you have any issues with your study permit or questions about it as well. So lots of great support for you to apply for that permit if you need it. The only advice we have for this is to not wait. Apply for your study permit as soon as you get your offer of admission to avoid any potential delays. Some final tips before we open it up to questions is, again, the most important thing for us is apply early. It's recommended, yes, but I highly recommend applying before November 7th. And that's just starting the application. It's not completing it, right? So it's the easy part that I was talking about. Biographical information, tell us who you are, where you're from, what you want to study, and make the payment. If you do this by November 7th, you will be considered early. You wait for our email instructions with the portal and start sending us your transcripts. If your program has supplemental, make sure you see when they recommend you submit those as well, because they're going to have a recommended early deadline for the supplemental application. So the main message here is don't wait. Early is best. It can only help you in terms of hearing back sooner. And of course, be sure to work hard all year, because even if you do get an offer of admission in January or February, it is conditional upon us getting your final grades in the summer. So make sure you work hard all year, because all offers are conditional. And be sure to indicate your interest in our housing or residence guarantee. Does not commit you to the university. Applying early or applying for a residence guarantee is not binding. Does not commit you to the university or to the residence. It just holds a space until you're ready to make a decision. So in closing, you can earn a top-ranked university degree from one of the world's premier research universities that gives you lots of choices, both inside and outside of the classroom, all while doing it in a city that is safe, clean, diverse, lots of fun, has something for everyone, and you get to do something different. Study as an international student in a different country, different culture, different climate, have unique learning perspectives, and have a different resume, right? When you graduate, you're going to be able to show that not only that you studied internationally, but you potentially worked internationally and potentially did research as well. These things will all allow your resume to stand out for when you're applying for jobs back home, or if you want to potentially stay in Canada, you are eligible to stay for up to 3 years after you graduate as well. So that study permit we are talking about, if you like living in Toronto in Canada, you have 3 years. You don't have to go home right away. You can apply for a job, and many of our international students are successful in doing that. So they're able to show that they studied and worked internationally. And again, that is very beneficial to when you want to go back home or potentially stay longer as well. So lots of benefits for studying in Canada, and lots of opportunity when you consider studying at Canada's top university and top 25 in the world. So that concludes my presentation for the University of Toronto. Just a reminder, that QR code that you see there, if you scan that, fill out that form, tell us what you're interested in studying. It will also connect you to my email if you have questions after that. So at this point, I would be happy to open it up to any questions for students if there are any. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and we can open it up to questions. All right, so I'm going to check out the Q&A. So there's a question about so I'm going to put in and the link I was referring to earlier about requirements. So I'm just going to bear with me as I
Adam, can you hear me? Biraz bekletiyoruz.
Hello? Sorry
Hi,
about that. We got disconnected.
no worries.
Okay, so the link I was referring to, I'm going to post it here so students can see the grade ranges and the prerequisites for what we are looking for. So let me just post it. I'm going to just put it in the chat for everyone. Okay, so can international students work part-time while studying? Yes, absolutely. So I talked about that. You have the opportunity to work, whether that's on campus. We have lots of jobs that you can do on campus, but you can also work off campus. If there's a restaurant or a store or a place you want to work, you can do that. International students are allowed, and that also does not include the internships that you can do as well. So lots of work opportunities as well. So scholarships, I'm going to post a link as well. We talked about how you can be considered for those automatically, but I'm going to post a link here so that you can see these as well. Just give me one moment here. So the link that I'm going to post now is referring to scholarship opportunities for all 3 campuses at the university. So does the university help students find internships in general? Yes, as I mentioned, we have our arts and science, or we refer to this as we call it on the St. George campus ASIP. So I'm going to just post a link here about internships at U of T as well, whether that's through co-ops. Our Scarborough campus has many amazing co-op programs. So does Mississauga. Engineering, we have our professional experience year that allows you to take a year off of school and work full-time. 65% of our students that do the engineering co-op have job placements before they even graduate. So all this to say is, yes, we help students with internships and co-op placements. These are paid. You can earn money, but also have that work experience for when you graduate. What support is available? So for international students, so we do have our Center for International Experience, which is dedicated to our international students. So we have an office that is just for you in terms of, again, starting from if you need to book an appointment with an immigration advisor, if you have any questions about your study permit. We have support systems, webinars, lots of information to ensure that you are doing well as an international student. And if you need any support, it is available to you. So a dedicated office, which I just posted the link for you to see as well. So is French language support provided for beginners? So if you want to study French here, you are welcome to, but it's not, there is nothing instructed in French. So all the classes are instructed in English, but if you want to study French as part of your studies, absolutely there'll be support and you can take classes if you like. So someone was asking about What makes an application stand out? So really, we are primarily focused on your grades. So with the exception of some of those more competitive programs that require a supplemental application, it's really just your grades that we're looking at. So the better your grades, the more likely you'll get an offer. But for those programs that are looking at more than grades, it's a high GPA plus, your extracurriculars. So whether that's having played sports or being part of student clubs, organizations, volunteering, examples of leadership. These are the things that you'll be able to tell us more about yourself and highlight your accomplishments. But if your program does not have any supplemental requirements, it's just the grades that we're looking at. There's nothing else for you to indicate. So be mindful of that. Grades are most important for most programs. The more selective ones are grades plus, telling us about you outside of the classroom, your passion for the program, and your leadership through your school or community. So how expensive are the living conditions? Toronto, unfortunately, is an expensive city to live in. So I'm not going to downplay that it is expensive. However, a lot of students, after living in the residence for 1 year, maybe 2 years, they will find apartments or houses to live off campus with friends, right? So now you have your group of friends. And it's cheaper if you're splitting rent with, one other or 3 other people. So a lot of our students will live off campus, and off campus can be, a 5-10 minute walk, a 5 to 10 minute metro ride, depends on how far you want to be off, but there are ways to make it more affordable. And you again have the option to work to help subsidize some of those costs as well. But generally speaking, yes, Toronto is an expensive city. Someone is asking about the exact score for applying to computer science. So we never provide the exact score because it always changes each year. But that link the first link I provided, if you click on that, admission requirements, you'll be able to see the grade ranges. But typically speaking, for an IB student, you need to be in the high 30s to be competitive for computer science. And we do not consider the bonus points. It's just out of 42. Is AP have any effect on the university application? So if you are following a US curriculum and you're taking APs, then of course those will be considered. And you would be eligible for some transfer credit as well, with 4 or better on most APs. Also, if you're doing the IB, higher level subjects with a 5 or better, you're eligible for transfer credit. But APs aren't mandatory. They can help with your application if, of course, the more you do, the stronger it'll look. But the advantage is the transfer credit. If you're applying to a program like engineering and you're following a US curriculum, then they will have AP requirements. So that's why you need to check. So engineering is the only program that's different when it comes to APs, but that's only if you're following US curriculum. Same, if you have an OSSD or an Ontario high school diploma for outside of Ontario, that's fine. You can see what the requirements are. We accept that, obviously. And yes, you'll have time to work part-time. We don't recommend working more than 20 hours a week, though, because the idea is you're coming to study, so you want to balance your studies, but you will have time to work part-time if you're interested. So the deadline for the upcoming intake, which would beginning, we're going to open the application for September, right? Because everything is closed for this year. But if you're looking to apply beginning in this September, the official deadline is around January 15th each year. So begin applying in this September, apply by November 7th, but the official deadline will be around mid-January. How long does it take to receive a decision? So if you apply before November 7th, I would say for most programs, you would be able to hear in late January or mid to late February. If you apply after the deadline, it's going to be April or May. If you're applying to engineering or commerce, they typically are later. So I would say March, April. Engineering by the end of April at the latest, assuming you apply by the recommended deadlines. Does the Canadian OSSD have any advantage? Nope. We accept all curriculums. So whether it's Turkish diploma, IB, American, British pattern system, we don't have a preference. Whichever one you follow is equally considered. Does the university recruit athletes? We do, but not like, say, the US. So where you would have to identify yourself to the coach of the team that you're interested in playing for. So we have a form that you can fill out and start to communicate with the coach. And if the coach is interested in you, then, you know, they could potentially expedite your offer or provide a letter of intent and provide a minimal scholarship as well, because the athletic scholarships are limited in terms of the value. There are caps. So I would say that yes, we do recruit athletes, but you would have to introduce yourself to the coach, obviously, because we are far away, but you can do so by visiting our varsity athlete page. Varsity Blues is the name of our sport team at the university. How does the co-op program work? So yeah, basically, if you're interested in co-op, you're going to indicate that when you apply. You know, they're not guaranteed. Like, you still have to interview like a regular job, but we do have the office to support students to prepare for these interviews and to prepare for your co-op placement. So absolutely, there's a lot of support provided for those who are interested in an internship or co-op. So in terms of SATs, we do not require them. These are optional. I don't recommend writing SATs unless you are following a U.S. curriculum. You're at a high school that follows the U.S. diploma, and you're applying to engineering. Engineering will ask for SATs if you follow U.S. Otherwise, these are optional and not required. So in terms of the score, most students are presenting scores of at least 700 per each section of the SAT, so over 1,400. You always say grades, but is the university familiar with the inequality of grading in Turkey? Some schools give you 100, and yeah, so it's not just Turkey. This is, you know, we get this question all around the world. So absolutely, you know, and I'm certainly familiar with some of the quality schools in Turkey. So when you apply, it's required for your school to send us the school profile. So how they determine what an A is, or what an 85% is on their grading scale. So that always helps us to ensure that we are evaluating students fairly, and knowing that it's, you know, that this school grades harder, and that's noted. Our assessors that are reviewing your files are very well versed in that, and we know many of the schools in Turkey. So that is not I would not worry about that. We are aware, and we assess you fairly. If I entered the Cambridge exam, would it benefit me with the application? So not necessarily, right? You just have to have the minimum requirements. So we don't require students to mix and match and do extra things in order for them to think that, you know, that's going to look better for us. As long as you have a strong GPA, the prerequisites, whether you're doing Cambridge, IB, US. If you want to challenge yourself now, and because you feel like you want that, and then that's going to only benefit you once you get to the university. So certainly no harm, but I can't say it's also going to provide you with a distinct advantage. All right, so I think that was all of the questions that we received. If there's any other ones, please do take a moment to type that out now. I'll give it one more second.
Thank you very much for the great presentation, Adam. It was very informative. And we had a lot of questions. You covered them all. Thank you for your answers as well. Also, could you please share an email address on the chat box? So if they have further questions, they can contact you later on.
Yeah, so hopefully, like I said in the presentation, you scan that QR code. That's the best way to get my contact information, because you can tell us about what program you want, campus, etc. But I will also type that out for you here as well.
Yes, in the meantime, I would like to thank the participants in Turkish as well. Katıldığınız için teşekkür ederiz arkadaşlar. Umarım sizin için de faydalı bir webinar olmuştur. University of Toronto ile ilgili diğer sorularınız için chat kısmında paylaşılmış olan mail adresinden Adam'la iletişime geçebilirsiniz. Bir sonraki webinarlarımızda görüşmek üzere. Thank you very much again, Adam. It was a pleasure to have you in our IFT Talks.
Thank you very much. Teşekkürler, and I hope to see some of the students in Istanbul when I return there this fall. But you're always welcome to visit us here in Toronto. Summer is a great time to visit if you can. But again, thank you for your time, and best of luck with your finishing your school year.
And thank you. We also look forward to welcoming you to our October fairs as well.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.